Label. My name is Traci Burton, and I am the owner. I'm a licensed cosmetologist, a trichologist, and also a wig maker. I make my wigs on the sewing machine, which to me are more durable. And so today I'm going to show you guys how to use the sewing machine and help possibly put some lucrative money in your account, right? So if you're wanting to make units with us, definitely I'm going to go over all the things that you'll need. I'll show you my tips and tricks. I can be found on Instagram at Crimson Beauty Salon, which is the name of my salon. Also find me on TikTok at Crimson Beauty Salon. So first things first, we're going to need a sewing machine. You can use whichever one you want, but the one that I use is the Janome Sew 500. I've been doing this for over 5 years now, so I don't know if they still have it, but I did get it off of Amazon. I also use scissors for cutting tracks and things like that, threads, you have it. Push pins, a seam ripper. You'll need a spool of thread outside of this one, needles just for sewing like down your closure. You would need a variety of wig caps depending on what type your client is going to want, and then various threads. So I have a clear thread here. I haven't really used that one, but you could use that if you had like a blonde wig, or you can use like a beige thread. Also black thread. You'll need additional needles for your sewing machine in case they pop. It has happened. And push pins, chalk if needed. You're also going to need your blockhead, which I call mine Jenny because she's Jenny from the block. I do have some push pins already in there along with the needle. And then depending on the type of unit you're going to make, today we're going to make a V part. So we're going to use the bands for the wig cap, some different clips. These are the ones that kind of clip in like barrettes. You just open them and pinch them down together. And then you have the soft ones that kind of just push in. You can use those in the back. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Those are some of the supplies you're going to need. You can always stop watching the video or come back and watch it to see, how to put everything together. But these are the raw materials that you will need in order to make your V-part unit. Today we're going to be using Private Label, of course, Brazilian straight 26 inches. Look at this hair, it's so gorgeous. Has a lot of body, a lot of luster, and there's no tangling. You see that it's true Remy hair. You can see the texture is all the way down to the ends. So this is some really good hair. That's another trick as to how you can tell. I know some of you guys try to go the cheap route and go through Amazon. Not knocking your budget, whatever your budget is, but if you wanted to make sure that you have a good batch of hair, you want to make sure that it's just like this, where you don't have that see-through at the bottom of your end. So check out Private Label. You'll get some really good bundles, okay? So today we're going to use, and also I forgot to tell you guys, this particular cap is my favorite one. It's the 5011. It's the spandex. I'm sorry, not the spandex. It's the mesh dome cap. So this is one of my favorite ones to make any of my units from. But you have to be very careful with your client to make sure that they can fit it. And depending on how many bundles you put in, it may or may not fit. It just really depends. But today we're not going to use that one. I will show you, however, if you keep sticking with Private Label, you'll see me at some point make one on that. But today we're going to use this one. This particular cap, it does come in different sizes. This size is medium and this size is small. Because I don't know what client this is going to go for, I'm going to go ahead and go with the medium. The medium is typically going to be your safe bet for any client because most people have a medium head. When you're measuring your head, you're going to measure it from the occipital bone, which is the curve of the head, all the way to your frontal lobe. So when you're doing your tape measure, you want to make sure that you're doing that circumference around that area. And they can range anywhere from a 21, 22, or 23. Anything much over than a 23, you may want to see your doctor. I didn't say that. But you definitely want to check and make sure what your client's head size is, and that's how you do that measurement. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and put the cap on just to kind of give us an idea as to how deep we're going to do our parting. And that's where we will take out our chalk and measure her. But we want to make sure And I say her, but it could be a he, you know, whatever pronoun you choose. I'm going to go with her. And that's my preference. But you want to make sure that your label, because it tells you what size, is right here in the middle. And then you can pull it back to just kind of adjust it. Let's see if I can turn this here, there. There you go. And then we're going to adjust it to sit where her eyes would be. And that's going to be back right there in the center. And so I'm going to just take my chalk and kind of mark it. And the first thing I do, and so that's where I'm going to stop the part. Okay? And so the first thing I do, because that's on the center, we also want to make sure that that line sits right in the center of the unit, and it does. And we're just going to do a V part. And V parts, we basically leave no spacing out because when you cut it, it's going to open up anyway. So we wanted to take that and make the V first. So I'm going to unwound one of the bundles. And we'll just put that over there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask during this video. Once I'm done, I can always go back and answer any questions that you guys may have. Okay. If you are going to make a unit with us this time, go ahead and drop your emojis in the comment section. If you've been with us, you're used to that. So get out your scissors or your spools of thread emojis and let us know you're making a unit along with us. That would be great. All right, we're just going to unwind the hair bundle. It's all wound up here. Let me get that straightened out. So you see this hair is very, very nice. So I'm going to start on the right side, right at the very corner of, or the edge, I should say, of the wig cap. And I'm going to come back here and then I'm going to take it straight down and come along on the other side. So follow along with me and we will get started. Also, my settings are on zigzag. I like the zigzag setting because it's kind of error proof for me. I know usually the ones that you would see in the beauty supply store, they're on the straight stitching, but it's sewn by using a machine in most cases. Even if they're in the factories, those factories have different settings from when you're hand making it. So even though I am making it on a machine, this is a hand sewn machine, hand sewn unit. So we're going to go ahead and get our foot level down and we're going to get started here. And you want to come in just on that seam. And you always want to make sure you back stitch. And so that was my back stitch there. This is going to be a long V part wig. Actually, I'm going to pull it up just a little bit. I moved my part, my center actually, you guys, up a little bit because I just realized that where I had it before was back here and no one really wears it back there. So I moved it up just a little bit. So you guys can make it according to your liking. I'm going to go ahead and now bring this other part around really, really nice and close so that it can meet to the other side. You want to make your V part first before stitching on your other hair of the bundle. The reason why you're wanting to do that is so that you can kind of have a guideline as to where to stop. So what I did just now is I left the needle in between the material of the cap as well as the hair, and I'm moving the hair so that I can pull it in as close as possible to the other side, almost to where there's no space left. I'm adjusting this so that it can follow along the actual pattern that I want it to go. And so I made my V at that point, and now I'm just coming around to the other side, making sure it is as close as I want it. You don't have to go fast. You want to make sure you're watching what you're doing. And make sure you backstitch. Then you're going to take your scissors and cut off the excess thread. And then you're going to also cut off the remaining track. Any threads you see initially at the beginning, you want to go ahead and cut those as well, because you don't want to have to, well, you will have to go back behind yourself and cut any loose threads after. But if you see any threads now, just go ahead and get those out of the way so it'll be less on you when you're finished. All right. And so it should look something like this. And like I said, I changed that part from being all the way back there in realizing that the top of the head is more right in here. And so that's what it looks like. And that's like an ideal closure, but it's not a closure. We're going to slit that at the end, add our clips, and it's going to be an actual V-part wig. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. I do like to fasten my clips on the back of these, just so they're kind of nice and flushed out of the way. And I don't put any tension on it. I just pull it just enough to get it fastened and out of the way. And so there's that. So we're going to start at the back. I do not sew anything on this row here, and that's just my preference. I have seen it done that way, but honestly, to me, it seems like it's just going to be flapping in the wind with that one little piece of hair on there. And to me, it also gives you room to make any adjustments, especially if you're going to sew this unit down. You'll have somewhere to actually stitch. These right here on the cap, on this particular cap, is your ear tab. So you'll know where to go in marks of your ear. So what I typically do is start at an angle when I get to that point to slant my tracks going upward on both sides. So when we get there, I'll show you that as well. So we're going to go ahead, and as a guide, I usually start from tab to tab. So where those tabs are, where the hooks are, we'll stitch from there to there, and that's like our first stitch on the back. Again, feel free to ask any questions that you may have, and I will get those questions answered as soon as time permits from me. If you want, when you get to the label of what size it is, you can fold that down and out of the way. That way, if you make a whole lot of units, you'll know which sizes you have on hand, and you can be able to see it. So I start and I backstitch and I keep going. This is just me moving that out of the way. And I'm going all the way over to that next tab. All right, you want to cut your thread off. And that's pretty much the steps, you guys, if you're wanting to sign off and come back. But we're going to do this all the way up to the top, or you can just keep watching and see how this unit turns out. It's going to be really exciting to see it all put together. We're going to go from start to finish. So you're going to see me finishing this unit by adding all the hairs in there, all the bundles, and then you're going to also see me adding the elastic as well as the pins, the fasteners, clips. I can't talk today. So just so you guys can see, I'm going to show you the back. And so we just went, let me straighten that up for you. Okay. Just showing you the bottom here. This is that tab that I was saying I don't put any hair on because it's just weird. It's just going to flop right in there. So that's why I don't add it there. I just add it from here to here. And you're almost right there at those ear tabs. So that's also another good point to just make sure you don't have that. You're not going to see that because this is going to be filled with hair. So don't worry about that. But we're going to just keep going. Also, you guys, you will see me every time I make a stitch. I'm going to also reference the cap back to the blockhead. So Jenny's going to be modeling for us all day today. The reason why I do that is to make sure that there's no lumps and bumps as we stitch this in. It is very easy to go so fast and just keep going without stopping. You can do that if you're really good and you've been doing this for a long time. But what you don't want to happen is if you did that and then you find out that you have lumps and bumps, you got to go back and figure out where that lump is, take that track of hair out and do it again. So a sure way for my beginners is to make sure that every track you put on, you want to make sure you take it back to your mannequin head. In my case, I'm going to take it back to Jenny, and she's going to make sure that I did the right thing and there's no lumps and bumps going on. So the next area of reference that I'm going to go is going to be right at that ear tab. I haven't started slanting yet, but I'm going to take it right up to that point and over to the other side. And also making sure that I backstitch. And then I'm just going to keep going. Depending on how full you want your unit to be will also determine how close you put your tracks together. This one does not have to be super full, but I do have 4 bundles. It is 26 inches, so it's a little less hair on the spool. So we want to make sure that we get accurate coverage. And I'm just going to take this up to the ear tab. And backstitch. Once I get there, I make sure I backstitch and then I cut that off and any loose threads that you see. Once again, we're just gonna slide her over here on Jenny, making sure that there are no lumps and bumps. And it's not, and I'll show you guys. So it's nice and flat. And we're just going to keep going. At this point is where you're going to want to start angling your track. So just over the ear, we're going to bring our track in right there. That's going to be fine because, like I said, that's where her ear goes. And also there is a piece of metal that's right there that kind of bends. So you want to go ahead and angle here and take it all the way around. And let's just measure it up and I'll show you. This may be the last one before we go to our new track or new bundle, I'm sorry. So, yep. We'll take that all the way over to the other side, angling that as well. And we'll probably have a little bit left about here. And because they're all the same length, I usually just kind of cut it off, start with the new one, and then this will be my scrapped hair. And if I need it later, then I can pull it apart and use it. But we'll go straight through each bundle first. So I'm going to go ahead and get my position in place. I'm right-handed, so for me it's easier to start on the right. So whichever is more comfortable for you guys, definitely feel free to do that. So again, we're going to have it just right here at an angle, coming a little bit over that last track, and start. Back stitching. And then you're wanting to continue. And again, just making sure that you back stitch that and pull it off. Bring it back over to your block. And there she is. It does get a little wavy in there, but it's okay as long as it's flat. And then you can just try to make sure you get a straight line on the next one if you get a little off. As long as it's flat, you're okay. And so like I said, this won't be enough to go all the way around. Let's make sure. No, it won't be enough to go all the way around. So we're going to go ahead and start with a new bundle. And I'm going to just leave that there for, like I said, if I need any scraps at the end. So you see how nicely that is unwounding? If you take your time with it, it won't tangle. It won't tangle anyway, but you want to just make sure you're kind of unwinding it so that you can start your next set. just back stitching there. I'm going to try to make this one even. We'll see. It can be difficult trying to make it even just because the way the sewing machine is made, but you can still get a nice full unit. All right. So once again, she's nice and flat. And so you see how it's starting to get full back here. You do not see that at the bottom. So you just keep going. Any overage, I just try to clip that off as well. But we're going to keep going. And now I am already, let's see, pretty much up to the top where the lace is on here. So on both sides, I'm going to just bring it around to that. And we're basically just filling it in. We're just going to keep going around in the circle until we fill it all in. And back stitch and then take it off. And so now you can see that we're at that occipital bone, which is where the head starts to curve. And we're just going to keep filling until we get all the way up to the top. So this is like the widest part of the head. Again, this is like our closure. So we still have the remaining of this to finish. And so we're just going to keep going. We still have about 2 bundles left. So I think we're going to make it. So I just want to measure it out to see where I want to start and stop for the other side. So we'll try to do about the same on both sides so that we'll make sure we get a nice even finish. So I think where I'm going to go next is just right above this lace. It's like maybe not, it's like a 1/2 inch wide. So I'm just going to go right up there to the top of that, and that's how I'm going to start. Making sure that I backstitch. And angling it down so that I can make sure I still get nice full coverage, that it's not too wide, because we're still at the back of the head. Another trick or tip for you guys is in the back, you want the stitching to be a little bit closer together than you would at the top, because if you're wanting to make sure that it replicates your hair and to make it look as much like a sew-in as possible, you want to make sure it's really full on the back, and it can be a little more thin at the top because that's where you want it to lay flat. So it doesn't have to be so close at the top because it's going to make it, you know, look fat. And you don't want that. Taking your time, making sure you're not just ramming the sewing machine. You want to make sure you stop at a nice point. So I'm going to stop right where I started at the other side. And backstitch. And on this particular one, I didn't have as much left over. It's only about this much. And that's okay. It'll just be scraps. Sometimes you may need that extra little piece. Y'all can see that's getting nice and full. Trying to make it as equal on both parts as possible. You're already getting a nice thick ponytail. And we are 2 bundles in, and we have 2 more to go. And this is where you can start making it a little more further apart. You don't have to make it so close together. So we are on track, or bundle number 3. Again, make sure you guys put your questions in the comment section. We like to get all questions answered. This can be very fun. It can also be another way to make income part-time, even if you're not a licensed cosmetologist. So I could teach my niece how to do this and she could make some money as well. And she has no, no desire to do hair. But if she wanted to make some extra money, she could definitely profit off of this little hack. And I say hack, but you know, meaning like a little side way to make some money. Holidays are coming up. People are looking to have gift ideas and things like that. So you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and cut these threads off, you guys, because like I said, once you start and you put them on top, the only time you're going to see it again is when you're combing it or curling it, and you're going to go, where did that thread come from? So go ahead and get rid of it now, if you can. For these next few ones, because I don't really have a reference point, I'm just going to kind of stack them a little bit on top, but then I'll widen it out as I get down towards the crown of the head. So after I come past the lace part is where I'll kind of get a little wider to go with the curve of the head. Trying to keep it as even as possible. You can pick it up and look at it and just make sure you're staying straight. And then as you see that that cap is curving, you want to curve that hair as well. I do have one-on-one classes if you're wanting to see this a little bit slower. Definitely, you can reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok, either one. And that's at Crimson Beauty Salon. We just made it back to the other side. We backstitched and we're going to take it off. One of the things also you want to make sure is when you have the material and the hair in the machine, you want to let the machine guide you. You don't want to guide it. You're there just to kind of make sure nothing messes up. You're like the overseer, right? If you push it, it can bunch it. If you pull it, it can bunch your cap. So you just definitely don't want to do that. And so you see we still have no lumps and bumps going on. It's still nice and flat. I'll take this off to show you. And that's what you want. You want it to just be really flat, because a lot of people use this as a sew-in, and so you want to make sure it's flat and not lumpy, because they're going to have braids under there, or they could have a haircut low like mine. Well, probably not like mine if they're going to be using it as a leave out, but it could be low where they have maybe an inch or 2 inches of hair and they just use that to cover, and they can blend it in. So in order to wear this unit, you would need at least 1 to 2 inches of hair. It's recommended maybe 4, but if you're, you know, just trying to make it happen, I say you could probably, if that stylist knows what she's doing, she can make it work with 1 inch of hair. It'll take some heavy pressing though, so get ready. So 1 inch is about like that. So that little hair needs to fit right over. That's why 4 inches would be ideal. But like I said, everybody is at a different growth state, and there's no discrimination. Whatever you feel you can make it work, then make it work. I am continuing with my process. Back stitching, coming down and around. Gonna get a little bit more space in there because, like I said, this is at the center of the head and you don't want it to be so thick and full right there because that's where you need that space. So you can go a little bit further apart. As you get to the other side is where you bring it up closer. And back stitch. Put the cap back on Jenny. And see how we're almost done? And that's the spacing that we did under there. So you don't have to go so close when you're in that little section of the head because that's where sometimes if it's too much hair there, it'll get bunchy and you don't want that. So we're almost done. We're just gonna keep going all the way around until we're done. I knew that would happen. I was just thinking to myself, oh, I haven't had to rethread my machine. And it did it. Sometimes it happens. And I was thinking I was so lucky that that didn't happen to me. But what does the scripture say? So a man thinketh, so is he. So I made it happen. Be really careful when you're threading your needles too. You don't want to stick yourself because I have definitely done that. Okay. All right, we're back in business. A little intermission. But let's keep going. Make sure you back stitch and you can come off. So I think that's going to be the last of that track or that bundle. And we have our last bundle here, and we are actually just about done. So this is how much we have left. And that's from bundle number 3. And we're just gonna let Jenny model what we have here. And so you can see that we're basically almost done. We just have this little bit here at the top. I'm going to double check with what we have left over and see if that will make us finish. But if not, we do have some extra hair here and we can play with it. But this is all we have left, and we'll go in and try with our scraps. Let's just see. What's the saying? Nothing hurts a fail but a try, or something like that. That's how you know you're getting older. You start quoting stuff from before. You're like, I sound like my mama. So let's just see. Will that work? You know what? It does not reach. But you know, I'm going to put a pin in it. And let me just make sure, because I don't want to prejudge it. So I am going to come over here and tap a little pin in there. So anyone who's a seamstress, they know what this is. It's just like, just trying to make sure you have enough material for what you got left. So it almost meets. Or it meets just at that corner. Let's see. So then we do have enough to make it all the way around, but I don't know that I'm gonna like that. So if I did this little leftover here, it'll make it have this much left, but then we're missing a lot at the top. So let's just go ahead and use the additional track. I was trying to save us from having to use the additional track or bundle, but that's not gonna work. It's gonna make it look half done. We don't want that. We want to make it, well, if you had to do it and it was just like maybe for you or someone you knew, you could probably, one of the things I have done in the past when I wasn't working at a hair company and didn't have hair at my leisure is I would go to the hairs in the back and pull from there to kind of fill it in. And that way I knew I would have enough. Let's just say if the client only gave you 3 bundles, you can still make it work. So don't give up. I'm just cutting those extra threads. I'm going to go ahead and unwound that last bundle here. But I do know that that last bundle will get us where we need to be. All right, bundle number 4. And look how that hair is just gliding through, you guys. Very, very nice hair. See how it comes out so smooth. There's no tangling. Very nice. We're going to go ahead and continue, and we are just about done. Oh. Uh-oh. And Jenny says, stop moving me around. Right, I'm going to get that nice and close to the last one that you did, and get it under the machine, close to the edge. And then you want to start your stitching. Making sure that you back stitch. Uh-oh. It got stuck. No worries. If your foot comes off, you can, depending on the type of machine you have, it just snaps back on. There you go. And when I told you guys it will happen, or it can happen, it just did. So my needle just broke. And so great, it happened on camera, so you guys can also, like I said, make sure you have needles on standby, because if that happens, you want to be able to change it and be able to keep going. So for me, I'm going to change that out really fast, and we will keep the show going. I'm not sure why that happened, but it does happen. So in my case, I have the universal needles, which they sew denim, or they're thick enough to sew denim, and the flat part goes against the back. And you just lift that up. Make sure it's nice and flush in there, and then you screw it in. There is a screwdriver for this. I don't have it, but that's really tight. And then you're going to want to make sure that you rethread your needle. And there you go. All right, so let's go. Third time's a charm, right? We're gonna get through this. All right. There it is. Okay. We finally made it past this little hiccup. I don't know if it's too early in the morning or machine is like, I'm over it today. So you're gonna just go with the curve. All right. Some hair got caught in the needle, so I was just taking, not in the needle, in the thread, so I was just taking that out. And back stitching, we're finally done with that one track. I think we have maybe one, possibly two more tracks, and then we can get to the fun part, and that's customizing it to fit your client. So then there's that. This is what we have left. Nothing changed. We're still going to take her over to Jenny. Jenny is our fabulous blockhead model. Everything is still as accordingly nice and full. The ponytail is where we want it. This is going to make for a great V-part wig for a lucky client or customer. We have this much left. We are going to keep going. And it fell, so we do have to get these shampooed anyway, so don't worry about that. So we always want to make sure you shampoo your wigs when you get them home anyway, even if we do it, just to make sure that there's nothing in it. You want to make sure it's all nice and clean. So we're going to just keep it moving till we get to the top. So yeah, maybe about two more pieces. Just cutting off those loose threads. And I'm going to come just under there to start it. And this is going to be my last one at the top. I don't have any clips to clip this out of the way, but I got a good little stitch there, so it's not gonna move. I keep moving that. What happened? There we go. This is how you know it's live and no edits, when stuff happens. All right, we have just a little tad bit more to go, and I just cut that off. And I think we will be able to use our scrapped hair just to fill that in. I won't go back over on this side. Well, let me just see. We only have this much left on this side and a little bit here. So let me see what we got. So we're nice and flat. Like I said, we just have like that little bit extra left there to go. We can use the scrapped hair for that. And we'll just start it where it starts to go narrow. Make sure this was the longer one of the two. It was. Almost made it. Okay, got it in there. Just need to pull it out. And then we can finish. There we go. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna get through this, you guys. Sometimes things happen and you just have to roll with the punches. I'm just getting it as close as I can so that they can somewhat stop at even places. I'm bringing it up as close as I can to the previous one without sewing the hair. There we go. And to make sure you don't catch that hair in there because you're going to cut that out anyway. So I just take my seam ripper and rip that thread and try to restitch it without grabbing hair. So we'll do that again and we'll do it slower. Much better. So again, take your time on this part because this is kind of customizing that last piece to make sure everything is nice and flush. So it could take you longer on that part, even though it doesn't take a long time to make this unit. You want to still make sure that you take your time where it's needed. And we're coming up on the end. And that's it. Finally, we are done with her. So now that we're done, we're gonna take her over to Jenny one more time just to make sure that everything is in like we want it. Make sure I cut any loose threads. So there she is. She is nice and flat. She is a perfect little center part. And this can be worn on any style of braid down pattern that you do. Probably, preferably if you did some straight backs possibly, or either round the crown and then do the ones coming to the side so you'll have something to stitch. So if you're a stylist, you'll know which braid down to use. But this is pretty much it. She's nice and full. She can be layered and cut. This is our Brazilian 26-inch hair, full Remy. The strands go all the way to the bottom, nice and full. You can color this hair, you can highlight this hair, you can do any of those things. The next thing we're going to do is, because we are done making the actual unit, the next thing we're going to do is add, as promised, an elastic band. You can also get these from Private Label. I'll just show you the cute little logo on the packaging. I don't know if you can see it, but it's so cute. It has the Private Label logo there. You can purchase these here in the store. There are 4 locations. The 2 that I know of is the one here in Atlanta. Oh, there you can see the logo. There's the one here on Memorial, and then there is one in Tucker, which is closer to me, but that's the one I usually go to. There's one in Tucker, but there are 2 more locations. One is in, like, what, Marietta? Is it Marietta? Smyrna, and in Lithonia. So there are 4 locations that you guys can check out in your area. So there's Smyrna, Lithonia, Atlanta, and Tucker. So get yours, get your hair, get your products, get your everything. Everything is there. This is just a little customizing, going in and taking out those individual loose threads that were hanging before, that I said if you don't catch them all, you can catch them at the end. This is what the unit looks like underneath. So if you see that, we're going to cut that center out. But before we do that, we're going to put in, I just had it up, our elastic band. So you can adjust it through here, or from here. You would take it off of that part and make your adjustments. But what I'm going to do is take it, and I'm going to do a stitching right around the ear area. Or right above the ear area, I'm sorry. Still just customizing a little bit. And here is where you will need needle and thread. I choose this particular thread. You can use cotton. This is a nylon thread. If I can pull it off. You just want to get just enough. You would get your needle. I use a curved needle. And you just want to stitch that to the side of the cap. This particular cap already does have adjustables in the back, so you can still use that, but this is just that extra security. So this is the side that goes on the inside, and this is your outside. You don't want this to rub on the inside of your head, so you want to make sure that you're turning it this way. So just above the ear area, I'm going to take it just to kind of give you some reference. From that ear tab, maybe about this much, which is maybe about 2 inches above where you see this little wire piece. So 2 from the bottom. So if you measure about 2 inches above there, then that's a good safe place to add it. Actually, it's right there at where the lace starts too. So that's a good place to start. You can hand stitch this, or you can take it back to the machine and stitch it. Totally up to you. I'm going to hand stitch it. And then I'll see if I can show you how to machine stitch it on the other side. Actually, maybe I'll just show you both. I'll show you how to stitch it on the machine, because this just got tangled on me and I don't know what exactly happened. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go in between the parting so that you're not on the hair. And you're just gonna stick it in there on the edge. And just sew it. And of course, my thread went away. That would have been too perfect. Now is a really good time, since we are done with the unit, a really good time to ask any questions that you may have that I can possibly answer for you guys. Where you can get your material, mostly Amazon. Where you can get your hair, of course, Private Label. If you are needing specific caps, I do get mine from Amazon. And these are the particular caps that I do like to use, the ones that I've shown you. So that's one side. And then we'll just take it right over, measure that to be about the same on the other side. And so that's done. Again, cut your threading. And then the last part that we're going to do is adding in your clips. That you cannot use the machine for, because you do need to separate that. So this basically gives it its tightness or looseness. You can just take this part here and loosen it up or tighten it up. And it goes in the back of the head. So we are going to, let's see, fasten these down. And again, this is a medium cap. And then we're just going to take our scissors and cut our V. So we have a V, just like that. And then we're going to take our clips and we're going to stitch those inside. Again, any questions, feel free to ask. Cut that a little bit more. We'll turn the machine off because we don't need that anymore. We're going to take our clip, making sure that it opens into the head so it's facing the right way. There are little holes in the mesh cap, so you want to make sure you go through that. And there's 3 holes, so you want to get stitching on the actual wig clip on all 3 of those holes. And you're going to do the same thing on both sides, and you're going to do that on each part where you add the combs. I'm going to tie this off here. So I made a little knot. And then I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. I do about 3, just to kind of be safe as far as the security of this. Now I'm on the middle hole. And then the last one. And I'm going to tie this one off. And then we're done with your first comb clip. We're going to tie another knot because we're going to do 3 across the top. I'm going to do the other side and then we'll do the middle one. So again, you want to making sure that it opens facing the inside. And we're going to go ahead and start with the stitching at the very top on the actual end of the corner. And just finding somewhere to stick the hole through the mesh. And then attaching it to the comb. And like I said, we get about 3 stitchings in there. But totally your preference, however you see fit. 3 to 4 is good. Moving on to the second hole. And now to the last hole, and then you're going to go to the other side of it. As you're coming up on the last one, you want to wrap that thread around a good two to 3 times, and that's kind of tying it in a knot. And then you can cut that off. I'm going to tie this in another knot, and we're going to get to that second side of this comb, and then we'll probably have to rethread, but we'll see. So starting at whatever end you prefer, I'm starting at the bottom, going through my thread. That's 1, 2, and 3 for the secure. And then I move on to the middle hole. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then on to the last hole of this clip. And making sure it's flush against the top. That's 1. That's 2. And 3. And I'm wrapping it around to secure a knot. And that's that. So then you have these two clamps that will clamp on either ends of the front of your hair. And then some people use one here in the middle. Not sure if you want to or not. Let's see. We'll go ahead and add it. If you want to take it out, you can. But I'm going to go ahead and add it. That way when you put it on, you'll do a clamp here, and then one in the center. And then the back, we'll use a different clip, and I'll show you here in a second. But we're going to rethread this because we didn't have a lot on there. You don't want to have a whole lot of thread when you're doing the combs because you got to pull it and it can get tangled and all that good stuff. So try to keep them short. Again, you want to make sure that the opening is towards you, where the combs pop out towards you. And we're going to go flat right at the V. And we're going to take the holes from the cap to push the needle through, as opposed to actually going through like a track or anything. So still keeping the same 3 stitching. Still doing that. That was 1, and this is 2. And this is 3. Going into our second hole here. That's 1. This is 2. I'm just going to open this up because it keeps getting in my way. And then this is 3. And then the last hole on this side, we'll stitch. One. That's 2. And this is 3. And we're just going to tie that in a knot. And go on to our second side. That's 1. 2, 3, Next, that's 1, 2, 3, and then we're on our last hole here. That's 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to tie it off in a knot. All right, so we got our top ones secured, and we're going to come on the bottom, that part that I said can sometimes flap. We're going to take just our regular little push combs, and we're going to put that in upside down so we can just go under the braid and not do any tension pulling. So we're going to do that right at the base all the way across. So we're going to go ahead and knot our needle thread. And this one is no particular count. It's just a matter of stitching in it from left to right or right to left, however you start. Or actually, for easier, we can definitely sew this part on a sewing machine. Let's do that because it'll go faster. I'm all for simplicity. So we just want to make sure it doesn't hit the combs. If it does, we have more needles, but we can just go right here and stitch it down and back stitch it and all that. And then that's it. So that definitely went a lot faster than hand stitching that. See the difference between hand stitching a unit and even sewing it? So now we have it all complete. You guys are rock stars for sitting through this. You have just watched or completed your first unit, or V-part unit. What you're gonna do is fasten these on the ends, of course, to your client's fitting. They have this little end piece to secure. They also have an elastic band to secure, and then they have these 3 clamps here. So this unit is ready to go. Your client, customer, or yourself can definitely get this unit and be a rock star. I'm gonna put it on this way just to kind of so y'all can see it. But that will clip on the hair, that will clip on the hair, and this would come down and clip as well. So that is Making a Wig with Me 101. My name again is Traci, last name Burton. I can be reached on at Crimson Beauty Salon on Instagram and at Crimson Beauty Salon on TikTok. I am a licensed master cosmetologist, also a certified wig maker, and I've been doing this for over 5 years now, and it has been my pleasure. And thank you for Private Label for inviting me out. And